Okay, I think it's 19 or 11 sharp, so I think we can start. So I think there is something like 36 people that have signed in for this, but the rest probably will just fill in. So good to see you all. My name is Antti Takolander. I will be facilitating this online workshop on spatial modeling. So we have two parallel sessions going on. We have the online one with at least, I think, 36 people who have signed into it, and then we have the on-site session, which is chaired by Roland. There is something like around 10 people in that one. I'm here at the site in Helsinki. It's a bit cloudy and misty and gloomy, but I hope that weather is fine for you. Where are you attending from? This is the first time I'm actually using this platform. So a few technical things. There is not the thing like in Teams that where you can kind of raise your hand like this if you want to say something. So here's on the bottom of the screen, there is the emoji reactions. So if you want to say something, I suggest that you kind of wave your hand like that. Or if you have the video on, great, then just like that. Ed, do you want to say something? Or did you just practice?
No, I was just practicing. Thank you.
Okay, great. And I hope that we will have a nice and fruitful discussion. The idea of the discussion or the workshop is not to draw some kind of final conclusions, but rather to discuss and share ideas and so forth. Let's see. Okay. So here's the agenda for today. We have a kind of a short introduction. I will shortly describe the work package and what we are planning to do today. And then we have 3 discussion rounds in breakout groups. I will split you into breakout groups in about 5 people or so. This will be about 15 minutes and then a kind of a wrap up together. And then we have a final chat about conclusions of the workshop. Everybody, and after that I'm going to get together with Roland and we're figuring out that what is the kind of main message from the both workshops. So since we are so many, we are not going to do kind of this spoken round of introductions, but I would really like to know who you guys are. So we'll do this Slido poll. So now you should be able to see if you press the Slido button there on the right hand side of the screen. There is the Slido poll there.
Done.
And I would ask you to insert kind of a short introduction about yourself, that who are you and about where you are, what you're working with, and most importantly, what are your expectations for the workshop. And I will see if my technical skills allow, I will share the Slido here on the screen. Okay, I actually made this a word cloud. I'm not sure if it splits it up somehow, but Can you just enter one word there in the poll?
No, we can write a full sentence.
Okay, it seems a bit weird.
Yeah, you might need to change it to a open text.
I think so. Just a minute. Okay, if we try it again. Yeah, now this looks smarter. Okay. Seems that we have a very divergent group of people. Kristen, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, great. They ask, where are you joining us from?
From the County Administrative Board of Sweden of Västerbotten.
Okay, great. Can I ask, what do you expect from the workshop? Any specific thoughts?
Well, I'm working with protecting marine areas, so I'm hoping to get I'm really excited to hear what your plans are and what we can contribute to.
Okay, so good to hear. How about Johnny? There, I can't hear you at least. Let's see if I can do something about it. I think you're muted.
Okay, maybe now. It's new tech.
Ah, yeah, now I hear you.
Hello. No, I'm also close to Christine. We are used to be colleagues, but at the moment I'm working at a company called Pelagia that do environmental impact assessments.
All right.
When looking into wind power parks in the Gulf of Bothnia.
Okay. So what do you expect from the workshop?
What is interesting to know is what the plans are in producing models and maps of species and habitats. So to understand what can be done and will be done.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. How about John Philip?
Yes, good
Hear me?
morning. Yeah, good morning. I'm working on basically ocean cleanup and in particular looking at removing excess nutrients from the water that cause the algal blooms in the Baltic. I'm working with some tech that could actually achieve that, but at this point in time, it's actually quite difficult to get good data on emissions of methane and N2O and CO2 from all the sludge that is caused by these algal blooms, and also to estimate the potential of seagrass restoration in the Baltic, because there's a bit of a negative feedback loop where the algal bloom suffocates the seagrass and that kills the fish, and so you have quite a lot of dead zones in the Baltic. Now, the problem is to actually have good data to show the impact of remedial actions is quite important.
Yes.
I think there's
Mm.
if you start doing the research review, there's a lot of independent studies in one bay, in another bay, different areas, but we're actually lacking a bit of an integrated place to store this emission data, and the emission patterns are quite complex, depending on seasons, temperatures, oxygenation, etc. So there's definitely there's need. We very much need a plan, or let's say some aggregation. There's a lot of good work going on, but much of the data ends up in a PDF.
Yes.
Lost for
I agree. I hope that
for
we
eternity.
can help you with that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'll just try to switch back to my presentation. Just one moment. Yes, and then shortly about myself, I could say a couple of words. My name is Antti. I work here in Finnish Environment Institute in Finland. I'm an ecologist by my background, so I work with indicator development at the moment and doing some species distribution modeling as well. And I hope that in this workshop we will be able to gain new insights, have fruitful discussions, and especially I hope to kind of learn to see the project and the modeling things that we're going to do from your perspective. So now this is a very brief description of the Project Baltic work packages. I'll have to
Antti, we can't hear you.
You're muted in the meeting, Antti.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes.
I was trying to adjust this a bit because I get this very kind of annoying feedback. I hear my own voice all the time in the earphones, but I try to manage with that. Okay, so here's the kind of an overview of the project work packages. So this workshop is about work package 3, spatial modeling. And it's a work package that feeds into several other ones, especially work packages 4, 5, and 6, and 7. So there's a lot of interlinkages. And what we kind of gain, we receive the data from the work package 2, which kind of collects all the possible data. And at the moment, they are kind of doing this data call and data collection of different data sources. And this is briefly the people working in the work package 3. So we have Maren, Roland, and Javier from Jade University of Applied Sciences. And we have people from SLU, Charlotte, Claire, Ulf, and Edmund. Then there's myself and my colleague Elina from Finnish Environment Institute, or Syke as we call it in Finnish. And we have also a colleague Katriina, who might be joining the project later. And then we have Jonne from the University of Tartu. And as you can see, some of the people are here online in the workshop as well, so you'll probably meet them in the breakout rooms that we will do in a while. So here's the tasks for the work package 3. First is that we want to compile and derive kind of coherent layers of environmental predictors that we're going to use in the models. The second task is about producing distribution maps for species, biotopes, and habitats. So we are essentially aiming to model all the essential biodiversity features to support the work of the other work packages. This is still a bit under discussion that what actually we will be modeling and how many species and what kind of biodiversity features, but this is also something that you can fill in your thoughts about today. Then we're going to develop some activity, pressure, and impact models to see where the biodiversity features are most affected by the human pressures. And as mentioned in the plenary introduction, we're going to do some future projections about the species distributions. So we see where the biodiversity features that we model in the task 3.2, where are they going to be in the future? And this way we can account for the things that the species distributions are probably going to shift in the future. And then finally, we are able to do some analysis of possible biodiversity hotspots when we have the kind of coherent view about where the species actually are. But today, what we're going to discuss about this mostly relates to the task 3.2, producing distribution maps for species, biotopes, and habitats, and potentially a little bit about the modeling in the future. And this is just a general overview of the modeling protocol that we're going to use. We're going to do statistical modeling or machine learning or something like that. So we're not going to do any kind of a process-based model at the moment, and it's we don't have kind of a locked silver bullet solution that what kind of model in particular we are going to do, but this is the kind of a general framework about the modeling that we are going to follow. That was suggested by Damaris Zurel a couple of years ago. And we're going to do the workshop. The plan is to do 3 discussion rounds. So first is the mapping species, habitats, and biotopes in the Baltic Sea. So we're going to discuss a bit about the current situation, that what kind of models and mapping products we actually have. And then we would want to hear from your expectations and requirements for the Baltic Sea-wide maps that are going to be produced in the Protect Baltic. That what would be the kind of things that you would expect or want from this project? And then the final group discussion is going to be about harmonization of national, I don't know, lower level or more regional level, and the Pan-Baltic species distribution model maps that we're going to produce here in the project. And we're going to do these in the group discussions, which are 15 minutes. And then we're going to kind of wrap them up together in 10 minutes approximately. And then finally, we're going to have a common discussion of about 20 minutes about the conclusions of the workshop. Okay. So here's some technicalities. So I will split you guys up into these breakout rooms. I think we will, as it seems that we are 25 people, so I will split people into 5 rooms. So it will be about 5 rooms, 5 people within a room. And I hope that within the room you will first discuss about 10 minutes each topic. And then start filling your thoughts into the Miro board. So I will provide this link to the common Miro board in the chat. Just a second. And using the link, you should be able to access the board and insert your thoughts and ideas there. I could just briefly maybe show you how the Miro board looks like. Just a minute. It seems that I have been muted again. But yes, this is the idea that you just stick these sticky notes or whatever things all around this first discussion round, so that first you discuss in a group the topic and then insert your thoughts there, and then we will take a look at it together after the session or after the group discussion. So we have 3 discussion rounds, and then we have final section for the wrap up and the conclusions. Okay. And now I'll shift back to this PowerPoint. Okay, and if there is some technical problems, the chat should work. If you type into the chat inside the breakout room, I should be able to see it here in the main area. And I will try to jump back and forth the group discussions. I'll see a little bit how are you guys going. Okay, is everything clear? Or any questions? All is clear. Great. Okay, so then the first discussion round relates to the, yes, you can click on this link. But so the idea is that what I was thinking is that because all the groups are going to fill the same Miro board. So I was thinking that you guys can discuss within the group like 10 minutes first, so you can kind of share your ideas within the group without seeing what all the other groups are kind of inserting. And then after the 10 minutes, you can fill in your thoughts into the board, and we can take a look at it together, like in the wrap up. Yes, but you can click the link. So the topic of the first discussion round is about the current status of spatial modeling products on species, habitats, and biotopes. So what kind of data do you think that we have currently, or let's say not data, but rather spatial modeling products? And what do you see as the main gaps in the current situation? And I will now assign you into the breakout rooms. Just a minute. Just check how many people are there. There are. And the breakout rooms will dissolve automatically after 15 minutes. So after 15 minutes, you will be brought back here. Okay, great. I'll see you in a while. I hope you have a nice discussion. Okay, so there is a lot of stuff coming up. Well, how about people in the breakout group 1? Can you kind of summarize what you guys discussed? Did you see the kind of number of rooms?
I could see, but maybe it was because I was a moderator. I don't know if other people saw which number they were in.
Okay, okay, I see. So there's a little bit of testing out. So if I ask here about Ommo, about the group that you were in, what did you consider?
I was in the group with Robert Westerberg, but I don't know the number. I'm sorry.
Yes, okay. So what did you guys discuss about that? What do you see as the main gaps in the current situation?
Hard to say. We discussed some technical questions of underwater monitoring and how to work with these data. And in the end, I brought in the problem of interpolating data on bird migration. And we discussed the use of LIDAR. It's difficult to summarize this, I have to admit.
Yes, I can imagine. Did you come up with any kind of conclusion that what is the main kind of gaps that there is at the current situation?
No, we didn't. We didn't.
Okay.
It was very special project related questions and very different questions. So which makes it pretty difficult to find this a general question for them as an output from that breakout group.
Yes, I can see. Now here's this big note about fish. I don't know which group inserted that, but can you elaborate a bit? So is the fish models basically something that we are missing on a Baltic-wide level?
Which one was this? Fish?
Yes, there's the fish. Actually, fish is twice here.
Aha, okay.
It's up here and it's down there.
We wrote the big fish.
I see.
I don't know if someone else in the breakout room wants to talk. I can say it. We spoke about using satellite imagery and eDNA and things for like vegetation and perhaps substrate, but that was maybe more challenging for fish. So that's a gap that exists.
Yeah, and I think in particular the gap between remote sensing data and translating that in well the actual viable populations. So it's one thing to spot single fish of a key species, or actually a viable population is there's a lot of that's probably the difficult gap to bridge, and that goes for a lot of say more all kind of the animals. Plants are fairly easy to measure with remote sensing, but eDNA is a good one to detect at least the existence of a certain species, and then get it to what is the actual quantity. And I think we also discussed finding the right sampling density for things like eDNA to get a good idea of the entire Baltic.
Yes.
Is
okay.
that just is it feasible or to get some insight in that?
Okay. So I can see there's a lot of stuff coming in. I will just show you the next discussion topic because we will move on, but you can just continue filling in stuff there if you feel like it, and it's highly appreciated if you do. And then we can kind of wrap this up in the end of the workshop. So here's the second discussion topic that we have, and this deals with the expectations and requirements that we would have for the Baltic Sea-wide maps. So it's a little bit similar to what you guys talked already. It's just a few minutes ago, but more specifically, maybe we would want to know that what kind of spatial models, if we do them here in the Protect Baltic, what would be most useful for you, and on what spatial and temporal resolution? And the second question that we have is that how should uncertainty be assessed and provided in the modeling output? Okay, I will start the next breakout rooms, and due to some technical restrictions or something on the platform, the composition of the rooms is random, so it will be different people that you get to talk to like each time. Okay, everything is clear. Okay, I see no obligations, so just a minute. Okay, hello guys, welcome back. I hope you had a nice discussion. Seems that there's a lot of stuff coming up on the Mira board. Maybe as you guys don't see the numbers of the breakout, much. Okay, Mats, are you online? Okay. Hearing anything that maybe I'll ask Elizabeth. Just testing that. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, yeah?
Yeah, okay.
But Antti, it seems that the breakout groups one didn't work. We were just 2 people online there, and we got a question from in the chat. That was it.
Okay.
So there was no chair.
Yeah, there is no particularly chairs in the breakout rooms, so you just need to discuss with whoever is there. And it might be that if people are dropping out from the meeting, then some of the breakout rooms might have fewer participants. So what did you think about the resolution? Did you come to any kind of a conclusion? There is a 25 meters is mentioned here on the board. But any specific ideas on that? Somebody want to elaborate the discussion?
Yes, of course, this depends on the species group. I mean, for small benthic animals, it might be 25 meters, but for moving animals, such as migrating birds, it's much larger. And there you have and we discussed in our group the problem of spatial interpolation of moving animals. They change the location where they are very rapidly. And so you have to get an idea what is happening between the sampling station, which in case of the weather radar that we use,
Yes.
this can be several hundred kilometers, and they are onshore. So you have to figure out what is in between there.
Mhm.
So there's a resolution of 10 or 20 kilometers is normally sufficient. And otherwise, the statistical power of the analysis won't allow you a more finer resolution.
But would that not be more like in setting up a network of webcams rather than trying to capture a migratory bird with a satellite? That's going to stretch.
No, sorry, it's not a satellite. It's this weather radar that you know from the TV weather forecast. And this covers the whole Baltic area. Everything else, like cameras or telemetry, something like that, will not be feasible on such a large scale. Either the detection range is too small, or you can't equip so many animals with satellite or with radio transmitters and so on. So we agreed to use this weather radar because it's the only method that covers the whole Baltic Sea area.
Yeah.
But both in the horizontal and the vertical distribution of bird migration.
Okay, but you could try to keep track of the resting areas where they land as a group. That would probably work.
Yes.
If you go to a lower enough resolution.
Yeah, this works with water birds that really rest in local areas, but not with these birds that move in large numbers, simple thrushes, robins, and so that can rest somewhere on the land in your garden or the one of your neighbor or 100 kilometers further ashore, which are not concentrated on spatial habitats, special habitats.
No, yeah, okay.
I'm just wondering about the resolution. It says here that, like, as discussed, probably the resolution necessarily depends on the species that we are trying to model. So for different species groups, we would need a different resolution. Did you guys discuss the temporal resolution or just the spatial one?
Yeah, I think on our side we focus more on the that on the one side having higher resolution maps, but it wanted to link it back to the actual sampling of that you could use to calibrate those resolution maps and how you organize that. So you guys are using drones, kind of maybe swimming robots can take pictures of underwater seagrass meadows and that type of details to calibrate it. And then we briefly discussed the DTO that would actually provide a database or a central data store where all that very hard work on collecting detailed information could be stored for sharing, rather than being on 1,000 different individual servers and no exchange possible.
Yes.
Yeah, this again depends on the species, I would say. I mean, for snails, you don't need such a high temporal resolution, but you would need it for fish and again for birds that move within speed of 50 kilometers an hour. And which is achieved again by this weather radar because they collect the data every 5 to 15 minutes, depending on the respective national weather forecast system. You can't answer this question.
Yes.
In general, I would.
No, but it means you need a different source or a different method for those. It's just not the answer for that particular problem.
Yeah, right. Okay, thanks everybody. I think we have to move on to the next discussion topic. See if I can get it visible. Okay, so the final topic of discussion that we would do relates to the harmonization of national and the Baltic-wide mapping products or the models that we have, because many Baltic countries have their national modeling efforts that are on a very fine resolution. So, for instance, in Finland we have models on 20 by 20 meters resolution. So the question to discuss is that what kind of potential challenges do you see that there is if we try to harmonize the national models and the mapping products that we have produced with the Baltic-wide modeling that we are going to do in this project? And if you have any kind of ideas how potential problems can be alleviated, we could hear those as well. I'll just see if I can reassemble you into the breakout rooms. And let's do it the same way that we did the previous ones, so that first we discuss about 10 minutes and then fill in the Miro, and then we will get back here. Okay, here we go. Okay, hello everybody. I think we are all back here. So one of the things that we were thinking in work package 3, like I mentioned in this one group that I visited, was that if there would be like a difference between the national models, which are built on a finer resolution that we probably can do on a Baltic level, how would you kind of feel about it? Would you still kind of see the Baltic-wide maps as valuable, or did you discuss this kind of thing?
I mean, I can say from our room that the issue was that the data is classified in national models, and so that could include like this predictor variables like depth, but also that the observational data is not always shared with Helcom. Because either people didn't fill in the data call for some reason, or it's got data ownership issues. Maybe there's a specific owner of the data which is able to be used in the national modeling, but not Baltic-wide. So even if the resolution is not the same, even if the resolution was the same, it might be different models because it's based on different observations and predictors. So it might show something completely different even for the same species or habitat. Whether it would be useful still, I don't know. That's for someone else to answer.
Yes, that's an open question, yeah.
Yeah, no, on our side, we spoke to, I think, the two conclusions. The first one is that rather than trying to harmonize the models, the first thing to organize is probably just sharing the underlying data, so you can run this data from other areas to your model, and then you can see, well, how does my model is my model predicting better or worse what the other models are doing, and you can discuss the differences. And with the second point that came up, and I think thanks to Mr. Putin kind of stuff, that even the composition of the seafloor has been declared a national secret, if it's rocky or mud, and that is basically putting a block on sharing any reasonably useful resolutions of data. So that's a bit that's probably quite a hard problem to overcome in sharing the data, or even to be able to calibrate models on each other's data sets, because you just can't share the resolutions that you've used for your own models.
So when you mentioned the calibration of the models with different data, do you mean the national level models?
Yes. So you could say, well,
yes.
if you take the Swedish model, you say, okay, well, let's run it on the Finnish data, and vice versa. Yes. Then, of course, you actually have the measurement. So you could say, well, which model is working, rather than trying to compare a bay in Finland with a bay in Sweden and say, how is that responding to to certain conditions? I'm not sure if that's particularly beneficial unless you run it on the same data set, because then you can actually see, okay, which model does predict the dynamics of the system in the best way. And of course, the bigger the data set, normally your model should get better as well. Or the model is it's you can postulate that on what the outcome should be on that data set, and see if it actually works.
I noticed that I have the Miro board is on my second screen, but I haven't shared it, so just put it here visible.
I'm interested to hear from the other countries what the regulations are around sharing products, like models of, say, a habitat that are based on classified source data. So for example, in Sweden at least, you can make a model of some species of fish, but if you use a high resolution classified bathymetry data set in the production of that model, you still can't share the species distribution model. Is that the same in other countries?
At least in Finland, the situation is that we cannot share anything that one can infer the bottom quality and the depth from. So that is the general principle. But I don't know how the other countries. I think there's nobody from Estonia attending at the moment. Did you guys have any kind of specific ideas about how to alleviate these problems, like about the disagreement of national models and the Baltic-wide ones, in addition to some of the ones that were mentioned? There's a note about focusing on key species. Is this about habitat-forming species?
Yeah, we discussed this in our group because we saw a problem that the taxonomic changes may be a difficulty in comparing species, because some species have changed their names and their taxonomic status within the years, and there might be also some more loved species than other ones. So it will be. We are expecting that it might be difficult to get the same standard of data availability for different species for each country. And so it might be useful to focus on key species that have been covered in all countries simultaneously, comparatively intensive.
Yeah, I see that it's true that might be a challenge when we get the data together.
Yeah.
Okay, I think there's some stuff still appearing, but I think we can move on to the final wrap up. See, so there is a one circle that has moved a bit, but the question, I don't know if you can see this very clearly, but we would like to know that what would be the most important take-home messages that you see here as the outcomes of the entire workshop. We're trying to figure this out together with Roland, who is chairing the on-site session, and then these workshops will feed into the plenary discussion later in the afternoon. So what's your feeling? What is the most important kind of idea that you came up with? How about Cynthia? Have thoughts on that? Okay, how about Louise?
I think it's a good question. But it feels like there's a lot of like issues, but I think if everybody just works together and just for example with the data, like sharing data and sharing experience, then the modeling would be better. It's a lot of countries around in the Baltic, and everybody's working in different ways, have different regulations. So I think if we're going to have a good spatial modeling, it's cooperation between the countries and organizations that is important.
Yes, I agree.
I agree with you, Luis, there. And since you're gonna use you're not gonna do any more inventories, but use the data that is actually out there in the system already. It's really important that you get a hold of as much good data as possible, so you can get good models.
Yes, I agree. The gathering of the data is it's a big issue. We'll see how it turns up. Anyone else wants to share some thoughts on this?
No, I think maybe the main thing here, or my view, the data is important, but what we at least should start doing is having a look at the at building a platform that allows sharing of the data that you can, and at some point when you can upgrade or do better, then at least you have something in place, rather than wait for everything to be perfect and start building it. So, but I think that's part of the objective of the whole Digital Twin Ocean project, and I think that's maybe the biggest takeaway from at this point in time. That's something to focus on.
If you feel like it, you can just insert the thoughts into the Miro board. If you have them. How about Maya? Do you have any conclusive remarks regarding the workshop? Okay. slightly tricky here to know which people are kind of online and not grabbing a cup of coffee or something. So this data availability for all stakeholders, this would refer to some kind of a data portal that where the actual data that was kind of used to build the models could be kind of shared, or is this the idea?
Yeah, I put it there. I think, yeah, it would be important to like we were talking like in the for the discussion before, to have some sort of guidelines like for all the stakeholders and like show them, okay, we have this kind of data like on these species, like this resolution, and like so maybe they can, I don't know if you have some more data like they can share it, or but yeah, that was the idea.
Okay. Just try to make some notes here at the same time. And then you can also fill in if there is some ideas that you would further like to contribute to the modeling part of the project. So you can just type it in here so we know that we can be in touch or organize some kind of other event or so. And there's a mention about the newsletter. I think the Protect Baltic actually has a newsletter. I think it can be subscribed. I think there would be some stuff probably about the work package tree as we get it going. But yes, I agree that a single database to store the data into would be really kind of a beneficial thing if it can be accomplished. But I think that if we take a look at the entire Miro board, I think we have collected a lot of stuff here that we can certainly take into consideration in the future work of a work package tree. And I think that we will just sort through this together with first with Roland to integrate with the on-site session, and then try to bring the main messages from each of the workshops to the final plenary discussion. So here I see a lot of things about harmonization and sharing data.
Yeah, I think this is also important for the common database. If it is not there, it is the right time now to specify what kind of data you want. I mean, depending on the species group, again, it can get very large if you use the raw data. So you should standardize the type of data you want to have in this database.
Yes, at least for the model building needs to be sorted out.
But also a certain amount of standardization, best practice for how do you sample certain types of the information, then that helps a lot when you proudly combine 20,000 samples from 6 countries and everybody has done something slightly different. You're going to lose a year just to figure out what the difference between the methods is before you can compare them.
Yes. That is true.
Maybe a last observation around this thing, that the need to actually do this, I think, has gotten a major push from the EU legislation to restore ecosystems. Because it's one thing to say you need to restore 20% of your ecosystems by 2030. If you don't know what restoration looks like, that's going to be an interesting challenge to actually measure or even state that you've achieved your objective, unless you have some data to support it. So I think that maybe the importance of this and the urgency of this has now stepped up one level. Otherwise, you'll be in reach if you can't show that you achieved that objective. But that's maybe it's a little bit less voluntary and for the greater good now.
Yes, I agree. I agree. I think in many cases we lack the kind of metrics that what is the good status of the habitats and what are the variables that we should be measuring. But I think that we're soon about to run out of time for this workshop. So if you have no further comments, you can continue to insert stuff here into the Miro board. And I made this final Slido poll about the workshop organization. So if you want to feed in any ideas about how to improve it or how it went or some other stuff, feel free to do so. But if there are no further comments, then thank you very much for participation and providing your input. And we will try to synthesize this all up with Roland, and he will bring the messages to the plenary discussion. Okay, thank you very much, and I hope that we'll get together also in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you,
very
Antti.
much. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Bye.
Bye bye.